it does turn like this. Kicker functionality. You do see under the primary onto the kickstarter shaft. This big blue here is the kickstarter shaft, the segment, and left hand side you see nothing now. Now you see on this side, on the other side you see the kickstarter gear. Look, if I turn it. So standard position, the kickstarter segment, the shaft is pushing the kickstarter gear away. As soon as you kick, and now the thinner part of the segment, the angled one, pushes the kickstarter segment onto the primary. I'm now holding the primary, and from here on it turns. It does not turn from the standard position till here, because that's the part that is holding the kickstarter gear away from the primary. As soon as you get over this point, kickstarter bites, and now the primary turns. And with the primary over the clutch, the engine. The kickstarter gear is not moving and the gearbox is moving. That's how it's meant to work. That's why we do have these polished spots here. As soon as you move the segment, this gear can come up and has connection to the primary, to the teeth on the primary. Let's see. This edge is keeping the gear down. As soon as you move the kickstarter shaft or segment, it can come up. You see that? That's the point. It sits here like that. The spring pushes it up, and as soon, due to the movement of the segment, it leaves this small edge here. It gets contact with the teeth and the primary, and you can start the engine. As soon as it comes to the original position, where you don't push the kickstarter in any way, one tooth is hooked in here at the segment at the inner edge and pushes the gear down, so it does not have contact with the primary. It's about this edge here. Different view. This edge is pushing the gear down. As soon as you turn the segment here, the gear can come up. It moves up towards the primary. It cannot do so here because the segment is pushing it down. What's the biggest fear of all Vespa drivers? This happens. The primary and the kickstarter gear are welded to each other, which is not meant to be. This means somehow the kickstarter gear gets completely stuck on the primary. That's not what we want. Separate guys coming up. I'm still collecting information because I luckily do not have so much experience with this. It happened just once to me, so I'm asking some other Vespa mates for information. Primary and Kickstarter gear. What are the reasons that these two parts can get welded to each other, that they get that this gets stuck like it did with this one? That's a Kickstarter down and a potentially really bad accident. It's a high sider. You jump into the traffic and yeah, injury guaranteed. With bad luck you don't survive it. So that's kind of the biggest fear of all Vespa drivers, and I want to help a little bit. How can you avoid it? 3 reasons. Reason number 1 is a Kickstarter gear with too little tolerance. I didn't measure it with a gouge. It's smaller than 0.1, bigger than 0.05. So it should turn like this. This is a Piaggio primary, and I even used Piaggio Kickstarter gear. Let's see how a new Piaggio is turning. Original Piaggio on a brand new primary. Let's use some Flutchi. That's what we call it in German. Some oil. So you see, of course, it does sit like that. It's like that you cannot see how it is freely turning. And it does turn like this. How is it movable? Looks like that. And let's take a used one. Let's also give it some Flutchi. How does it sit? You see that it does actually sit more loose than the original. Quickly change the new one. Yeah, visibly it sits more loose and it turns like that. That's the used one. Reason number 1. Too little tolerance between the primary and the Kickstarter gear. I'm gonna show you then in the bigger guide 2 examples where it did actually happen like that. Stuff, small, cast iron, aluminium thingies got in between and it got stuck like this. Cheers guys, be safe. See ya.
Ein Biest!
Sorry, ja.
Bist du deppert, ist das ein Biest jetzt?